Revealed, the Iran ally and U.S. adversary, now suspected of helping bring down an American F-15 fighter jet. Who helped Iran shoot down America's $90 million fighter aircraft in one of the war's most shocking moments? Iran's ally meets with Trump in public, but was it secretly arming Tehran behind the scenes for war? China-US tensions are now spiking over Taiwan as Pete Hegseth's remarks trigger a fresh storm in Singapore. Iran's ally may have played a major behind-the-scenes role in the dramatic downing of a U.S. F-15 fighter jet in April 2026. A Chinese-made shoulder-launched missile was allegedly used to bring down the $90 million American fighter aircraft. An NBC News report alleged that China provided Iran with a long-range early warning radar system. That Chinese radar is reportedly capable of detecting stealth aircraft specifically designed to avoid enemy surveillance. Beyond missiles and radar systems, China may have also supplied Iran with stealth aircraft, according to NBC News. China allegedly moved the weapons to Iran during the early phase of Tehran's war with the US and Israel. Meanwhile, a U.S. investigation is still underway into what exactly led to the downing of the F-15E Strike Eagle in April. It marked the first time in decades that an American fighter jet was reportedly brought down by enemy fire. When asked about the F-15 shootdown, China's embassy in the United States dismissed the claims as part of a smear campaign. The Chinese embassy said, and I quote, "China always acts prudently and responsibly on the export of military products, and exercises strict control in accordance with China's laws and regulations on export control and due international obligations. China opposes groundless smear and ill-intentioned association." End quote. Reports now suggest China's alleged helping hand to Iran could further complicate ties between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. Trump's top diplomat has also insisted that America does not need China's help to bring the Iran war to an end. Earlier, Trump claimed Xi Jinping personally assured him that China would not supply weapons to Iran. Meanwhile, Trump's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stirred fresh controversy in Singapore on May 30th. Pete Hegseth urged America's Pacific allies to step up and shoulder more responsibility against China amid rising Taiwan tensions. China responded with a sharp rebuttal, urging the United States to pursue a stable and constructive relationship with Beijing instead.
The region will be far more stable and more secure when other allies and partners follow that path. We see this same realist mindset from the Philippines. Manila is shifting its focus to external defense and enhancing interoperability with U.S. forces. And it's not just talk. We're seeing a similar and critical shift in Tokyo. Japan is taking concrete steps to accelerate its defense transformation. Together, we are enhancing our force posture and investing in the right capabilities. We're not at the finish line yet, and there's still some heavy lifting ahead, but the momentum is headed in the right direction. We have high expectations of our Japanese allies, and together we can and must each pull our weight to strengthen the U.S.-Japan alliance. Strong, quiet, clear. Australia is stepping up. Together we are expanding the rotational presence of U.S. forces and collaborating to ensure our defense industrial base build and sustain weapons required for a high-end fight. We appreciate Australia's investment in real combat power and the commitment to integrate more deeply with the U.S. Joint Force. Mr. Koizumi, thank you for the question, for your friendship, for your engagement. I think our countries and our personal engagement is demonstrative of the kind of commitment the United States has to allies and partners. And we appreciate the extent to which you and your government have stepped up. And I think there's sort of two real ways when I look at how the world may view our commitment to this region. First is through our national defense strategy, and we very clearly listed 4 pillars. It was the homeland of the hemisphere, deterring China in the Indo-Pacific, burden sharing, and then supercharging our defense industrial base. Those were the 4. And I think too many people were focused on the fact that number 1 is homeland and hemisphere. For us, that was a reorientation toward a forgotten aspect of our defense strategy. Staying focused and bringing renewed energy to Southern Command, which had been kind of a sleepy backwater command and now is a warfighting command in our own home hemisphere, was something we had to do institutionally. But if you look at our defense planning guidance or our national defense strategy, we are funding toward, exercising toward, and planning toward the most difficult problem set, which is power projection into this region and working with our allies and partners. So there's a refocus in what we do in our own neighborhood, but in understanding that a $1.5 trillion investment from cislunar to subsea is what's required in order to deter the next conflict. And then I think the second aspect is that people want to conflate that we have global obligations with turning of our backs to this region. And that's why I've made more trips here than anywhere else, and have met and will continue to meet with individual countries and in collective settings like this to demonstrate we are quietly but very strongly working by, with, and through allies based on our mutual commitments to strengthen our capabilities out here.
The stability of China-U.S. relations not only benefits the people of both countries, but also contributes to regional stability and world peace. The most important political consensus is the agreement to build a constructive, strategic, stable relationship between China and the U.S. President Xi Jinping clearly stated during his meeting with Trump that constructive strategic stability should be primarily cooperative and positively competitive. We also look forward to China and the U.S. working toward a common goal, implementing the consensus reached by the two heads of state, and promoting the military relationship between the two countries in a healthy, stable, and sustainable direction. This is my brief response to Pete Hegseth's speech this morning. Let us now focus on our. It has evolved from the early nuclear terror balance to today's comprehensive security concept that includes the international order, armed control systems, and frontier technology. However, no matter how it changes, strategic stability has always been the cornerstone of security guarantees for all countries. Yet, it is currently facing challenges as a global nuclear conflict. The risk of global nuclear conflict is rising. In recent conflicts, parties have sent nuclear deterrent signals. In the past, the Palestine-Israel conflict, an Israel cabinet minister shockingly suggested using nuclear weapons in Gaza. This shows such threat of nuclear war is not remote. Third, the international armed control disarmament and non-proliferation regimes have been severely eroded. A series of nuclear armed control guardrails have collapsed. The two countries with the largest nuclear arsenals have entered a vacuum with no treaties, no verification, and no dialogue. Under the AUKUS Pact, Australia is developing nuclear-powered submarines. Japan is pushing to revise its pacifist constitution and the three non-nuclear principles and seeking to have allies deploy nuclear weapons on its soil. The risk of nuclear proliferation is increasing. At the same time, the militarization of emerging domains such as outer space, cyberspace, and AI is accelerating. The militarization of emerging technologies is challenging.
Amid rising regional tensions, new satellite images now show China building launch pads near key nuclear weapon sites. China is strengthening defenses around its nuclear arsenal as tensions continue to rise sharply with U.S. ally Taiwan. In an exclusive report by Reuters, China is said to be building launch pads close to key nuclear missile silo sites. Satellite images reviewed in the report reveal a sprawling network of launch pads, bunkers, and communication hubs. The report claims China has constructed more than 80 launch pads near the Hami nuclear missile silo field. These launch pads are positioned near isolated silos believed to house China's longest-range strategic missiles, Reuters reported. The images suggest the 80 sites could support mobile missile launchers as well as air defense batteries. The facilities may also be designed to support electronic warfare, satellite communications, and command operations. The new infrastructure is reportedly intended to shield and operate China's land-based nuclear forces more effectively. A research fellow cited by Reuters alleged that the network stretches across thousands of square kilometers. The PLA is believed to use silo fields in Xinjiang and Gansu provinces as the backbone of its nuclear forces. The new pads could potentially host mobile air defense missiles, electronic warfare nodes, or even ICBM launchers. The two octagon-shaped installations were reportedly built over 6 years in China's Xinjiang region. Both structures lie southwest of the Hami nuclear silo fields, one roughly 140 kilometers away and the other nearly 320. The new sites reportedly include housing facilities for personnel and large military vehicles, according to Reuters. Armored bunkers and fortified weapons storage areas also said to be linked to the newly built structures. Military activity has reportedly been observed at the sites, including the movement of mobile missile launchers. Large tents seen across the pads are believed to be camouflaged launch positions blended into the desert terrain. However, it remains unconfirmed whether the sites currently host ballistic missiles or nuclear warheads. The United States is reportedly increasingly concerned that China is expanding and modernizing its nuclear weapons capability. A Pentagon report on China claimed Beijing could field as many as 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. The Pentagon further alleged China could deploy nearly 100 ICBMs across all three of its main silo fields. Beijing's early warning systems have also reportedly been strengthened with the deployment of Huayan-1 satellites. The new warning network can allegedly detect incoming intercontinental ballistic missiles within just 90 seconds of launch. This rapid nuclear buildup comes as Xi Jinping has reportedly warned Trump over worsening disagreements on Taiwan. A leading defense think tank has also warned that tensions over Taiwan could spiral toward a nuclear flashpoint very quickly. The defense assessment further states that in a high-intensity conflict scenario, both Washington and Beijing may deliberately target each other's command, control, surveillance, and military communication networks to gain strategic advantage. The London-based ISS released this detailed strategic warning ahead of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, where global defense leaders are gathering to discuss rising security tensions in the Asia-Pacific region. The assessment was also reported by Strat News Global on May 28, amid growing international concern that the Taiwan situation could evolve into a full-scale regional war with global consequences. Analysts now suggest that a potential Taiwan conflict could become the single most dangerous flashpoint in the entire U.S. China rivalry, with implications that extend far beyond the Indo-Pacific region itself. The report also comes just days after Chinese President Xi Jinping reportedly issued strong warnings about potential conflict with the United States over what Beijing describes as interference in Taiwan-related affairs. An excerpt from the International Institute for Strategic Studies report stated, and I quote, "Regional states and those with strategic interests are expanding their nuclear arsenals, while non-nuclear weapon states pursue long-range conventional strike capabilities, both challenging strategic stability." A 156-page International Institute for Strategic Studies report, as reported by Strat News Global, has examined in detail how a potential war over Taiwan could unfold across multiple military and strategic dimensions. The assessment further explains that in such a conflict scenario, the United States and China would pursue fundamentally different objectives, shaped by their contrasting military doctrines and long-term geopolitical priorities. According to the report, China is expected to focus on preventing U.S. and allied forces from gaining access to Taiwan, effectively attempting to contain external intervention and maintain regional control over the crisis zone. At the same time, the U.S. strategy would be centered on strengthening Taiwan's defensive resilience, ensuring it can withstand sustained pressure while maintaining its ability to resist a potential invasion or blockade. The think tank further warns that any large-scale war over Taiwan could carry serious escalation risks, including the possibility of the conflict expanding to a nuclear level under extreme strategic pressure.